98-inch TVs and larger are flooding the market. TCL is out of control. When TCL released its first 98-inch XL R754 in the USA last year for $8,000, I said, wait, it'll be under $4,000 once the flood of 98-inch TVs hit the market this year. And yes, the flood has hit the market. Do not fear of missing out on a 98-inch TV because they are coming. This year, in the USA alone, the TCL QM8 and the S5, not to mention the Sony X90L and the Samsung Q80C, and that's just the USA. Europe is getting the TCL C755, C805, and X955. And in China, TCL is releasing its 115-inch X11G Max. What the heck is happening to the world of extra large TVs? We used to think 85-inch was fairly big. Apparently, that's small fry now that 98-inch TVs and 110-inch and 115-inch TVs will be a thing. Now, if you do want a 100-inch TV or larger but do not want to deal with the price, the inconvenience of the size, and heavens forbid trying to wall mount the thing, why don't you try out today's sponsor, ultra short throw laser projectors from Paris Rhone. Say hello to the Paris Rhone laser projector, putting out up to 150 inches of TV watching goodness. Let's just say I've had this Paris Rhone projector for the last 8 months, and that 65-inch flagship TV next to it just does not have the impact of the full 110-inch screen. You just don't realize how big 110 inches really is until you're sitting 10 feet away, which is how far I sit from this projector. I purposely placed both TV and projector next to each other to see which my family would prefer, and every single time it was the projector. And the 25 watts of Dolby Audio, compared to my flagship TVs, it goes lower and gets louder. And what about the price? Originally $27.99, now less than $2,000. And with my code FOMO25, get an additional $100 off between now and October 25th, 2023. All right, you are still interested in a 100-inch TV. So let's get into this new trend of super large TVs, 100-inch, 110, 115. What's happening? And why couldn't they just round it up to 100 inches? I mean, 98 inches, really? So now that TCL has started flooding the market with 98-inch TVs and larger, there must be a market for these TVs. I mean, I put up a poll in my community tab to see how many of you were interested in getting such a large TV. And surprisingly, the early results are in, and it shows that 70% of you are actually willing to buy a 100-inch TV if the price was right. And the price appears to be, or the right price appears to be somewhere between $2,500 and $3,500. Well, guess what? We are almost there. The TCL 98-inch XL from last year is now just under $4,000, and the new S5 that just came out this year, by next year, likely $3,000, and 2 years from now, we will be in that sweet spot. And I think the Chinese market believes this because these TVs are quite popular in China. They're all being released in China first, and this 115-inch flagship is especially interesting because, get this, 20,000 dimming zones and 5,000 nits of peak specular highlights. Now, obviously this is probably in vivid mode, but regardless, assuming that your energy company doesn't shut you down for playing this TV at 5,000 nits, but let's just say it's super bright at 115 inches and 20,000 dimming zones, as long as the image quality is good enough. It's at least as good as the Sony X90L. I think that's great image quality for a 65-inch LCD TV. So if we extrapolate that to 115 inches and the prices start to drop, this is going to be critical for adoption of such large TVs. And let's talk about prices in the USA. If you've noticed, in China, these are premium $10,000 TVs. But TCL and Hisense, they know their market. Hisense specifically has not released a 98-inch or larger TV in the USA because they're gauging consumer sentiment for their brand at a certain price point, right? They tried to release dual cell a couple years back. It was premium, it was expensive, it did not sit well with consumers. They did not buy it, mostly because the image quality was so-so. TCL, on the other hand, they're testing the market smartly this year with the S5 on the low end, right? And on the higher end, the QM8, 98-inch, MSRP 10,000, most likely street prices closer to 9,000. And this range gives you an idea of what TCL is checking to see if consumers are willing to pay a little bit more for a premium TCL. And of course, even Hisense testing the waters with a limited release of the UX 85-inch TV for around $4,000. These are prices that neither brand has ever seen in the USA, but when it gets large enough and the prices get cheap enough, that's the question. In other parts of the world, let's say Europe, is even more aggressive in releasing different models, the C755, the C805, the X955, 3 different tiers with different numbers of dimming zones and mini LED or not, or quantum dot in the backlight, just various price points just to see what consumers want or are willing to pay in terms of image quality. And in my opinion, this is what I'm thinking. I was very impressed by the TCL Q7, right? This is their mid-tier TV, around $600-700 for a 65-inch. If that TV at a 98-inch size could be priced at around $3,500 in a year or two, that would be a highly recommended TV because its image quality at 98 inches or larger for under $5,000 would be a phenomenal TV. But here's the most important part. Image processing. You're all rolling your eyes. Oh, it's TCL. Yeah, it's big. Yeah, it's got the hardware specs. But maybe the colors are off. Maybe the blooming control, just the whole image upscaling processing is an issue. But stop to consider this. TCL also provides the hardware to Sony and Samsung to produce these 98-inch TVs. The Sony X90L this year, the Samsung Q80C, they sourced that 98-inch panel from TCL and layer on top of that their image processing magic as well as their software and maybe some gaming features, right? But ultimately, they're able to separate their TVs from TCL. TCL brand covering the budget under $4,000, the Sony X90L, although it's releasing at $10,000 MSRP, and the Q80C from Samsung releasing at around $8,000. Both of these this time next year will be 20% less expensive. I think at that point, it will be impressive for consumers to try out a Sony 98-inch TV for around $6,000 or $7,000, as well as the Samsung Q80C, which would probably make a great gaming TV for under $7,000, maybe $6,000, maybe $5,000. Now we're talking. And what about comparing these 98-inch TVs? Which is the best? Is it the Sony X90L, the Samsung Q80C, or the TCL QM8? All 3 TVs are between $8,000 and $10,000 MSRP. We'll catch our TV shootout coverage right here beginning September 27th. It'll be daily coverage of pre-show, calibration, behind the scenes, drama, fan favorites, out-of-the-box accuracy. We're going to cover it all. Best 85-inch TV, 98-inch TV, 8K TV, sound bars. Check it out. Until next time, stop the FOMO.